Okay, these are a little off-the-cuff videos for now, but I know we talked today about your problem that's improving with your bicep tear in your arm. I wouldn't call it a tear necessarily, but more of a very aggressive inflammation. So it seems like it's on the mend at this point, and I think you're doing a lot of good things. So I just wanted to cover some points that that I think you are doing that's good. I would keep up the voodoo band work if you're still working on flossing with that. I would do that, every other day if appropriate. Everything I'm going to give you, I'll put on an email list, and I would just pick and choose. You don't necessarily need to do everything every day, but if you can at least do 3 or 4 things a day, that's where you want to probably keep it at. In terms of the list I'm going to give you, I'll just put down how much you should do if you're going to do it that day. So with that being said, I think we talked about you going over some rolling stuff. I'm just going to show you some targeted areas that I think would be best for you. I'm going to go over some mobility exercises appropriate for that specific injury, and then some challenges for you to help get it stronger. And then what I do is try to do this for about 2 weeks. Hit me back and see if you're getting any improvement, both in terms of how it feels, and then my range of motion is a little limited myself today, but you want to do, of course, this self-check where back of your hand on that right arm should be able to touch the back of the shoulder blade without any pain or issue. If it's doing really good that day, you should be able to get it midline and then arm up over your head and touch the fingers together. So I guess if you're doing some mobility today, I've gotten a little better because it wasn't doing so great earlier. So without further ado, I guess I'll get going on what to work on. So like I said, I think we talked about some good things about the rolling and the voodoo floss. Hopefully you're still doing some of these pull follow-throughs. So, knuckles down, you're bringing it up and over your head. Nice, slow, and controlled. Trying to keep the elbows as locked as possible. Now, a key with this, when you're doing it, is to really focus on the pinch between the shoulder blades. So, scap retraction and thoracic extension really should be what you're focused on doing with this. I'm sure that's what you're doing with it normally, but if you're not, it's just something to try to think about when you're adding it, because what it does is it allows for passive range of motion in the shoulder more so than activation of the thoracic musculature, which should be doing that drive. So you're getting that joint opening more then you want to work those muscles as you're doing that movement. So there's the first mobilization I would be doing. In terms of rolling, I would target 3 areas. I like to be more focused to use a ball. So I'll be working towards that bicep tendon area. One little aggravator could be the pec. So what you want to do is target the area just a little bit inside of the shoulder. Provide a little bit of some internal rotation by bringing the arm gently behind the back, then either compressing against a wall or laying on the floor. And as you're doing that, slowly dragging the elbow upwards as you bring the ball across the chest. So you should do that. Any rolling, I would just do 2 sets of 30 seconds. You can do it on each side. So 30 seconds, 2 rounds of that. Then I would do laying down about an inch in and an inch down from the border of the shoulder blade. You're going to find a nice little spot. You're going to work inwards with that, and what you're going to do as you're laying down, compression, let the arm touch the floor, then bringing it straight up without locking the elbow. Turn the thumb inwards and continue to drag it towards the opposite shoulder. Of course, trying to be within pain-free of that sticking or catching that you were experiencing. And then lastly, I would target the teres region, so posterior and just under the shoulder, I guess where a lot of people call the lat attachment. You want to get that compressed. That's usually nice and hot on most people that are doing workouts consistently. And what you want to do with that is kind of do a reach forward and then do a small bicep curl and let that elbow glide up towards the body. So slight roll, feel that compression, then roll it upwards. In your case, you can also try to pinch, rotate slightly downwards, and then bring the elbow up. So there's some rolling strategies. If that wasn't specific enough, you could just shoot me back an email, and I could try to maybe workshop with more specifics. Other than that, really, there's two stretches that I'd recommend for this specific issue. One's going to be a sub-scratch reach down. So on your back, your elbows are going to kind of be in like a scarecrow formation with your palms touching on the ground. You want to start near your waist. And what you want to do is start to reach your elbows up until you feel a pull or an opening in the armpits. Now, you can hold this. 3 rounds of 15 is good, or 2 rounds of 30, whichever one you want. Being more focused. So elbow glides are good, or if that's not so great, you can keep your hand near your buttocks. You're going to lift slightly and then try to bring your palm down towards the floor. One or the other, whichever one feels more tolerable for you, I'd suggest doing. So that should be a 2-round 30-second or 3-round 15-second hold, and you can do that a couple times. Once again, I'll write this in the email. So once again, elbow up, keeping the palm on the floor, or palm down with bring the elbow up first and then try to bring the palm down. 2 strategies to stretch that area. Then I go into a sleeper stretch. So laying on your side, trying to form a perpendicular line with the elbow to the hand, and then forming a direct line from the shoulder to the elbow. You're going to compress that with your body, let your arm hang, then push the hand down. So this arm I'm just letting hang dead, and then I'm using my left arm to push. Feeling a stretch through the back side of my arm. Okay. So that's some mobilization strategies. Once again, I think you're doing some good stuff with it already, so just keep it up. Now in terms of challenges, we went over the fact that you're already doing some Russian swings, which I think is fantastic, really focusing on that lat activation, presenting a dynamic challenge to the shoulder girdle and to the bicep itself, improving grip strength. I mean, all around a great tool to use for this. Deadlifts are good. Start with a low weight and then work your way up to tolerance. I do anywhere from like 3 to 5 reps, very slow, controlled. Once again, working on that scap activation as you're going up and down, providing an eccentric challenge to the bicep and grip once again. So other than that, there's a couple more things that I could probably add if you're not doing them. And I'll just showcase each one as if I was doing it on my right arm. So, simple yet sinister, the side-lying external rotation, keeping your arm in a 90-degree angle, keeping the elbow locked, simply just either using body weight or a 5-pound weight to begin with, and just simply doing rotations with the sole purpose of keeping the elbow locked and presenting that external rotation challenge to the shoulder. These can be a fantastic addition to any workout routine, honestly, or rehab. So if you're to add weight, like I said, 5 pounds start with, see if you're tolerating it, and then you can work up to 10 pounds. You should be able to do at least 12 repetitions without, for the first 2 or 3 sets without really exhausting yourself there. Next challenge would be what I call a reach, roll, and lift. So you're going to get into a 6-point stance, then modifying it, bringing the elbows in so they're about 3 to 4 inches away from the knees. Everything's in line. Head's looking slightly forward, and as you're doing that, what you're going to do is reach that right arm out, slightly levitate it off of the ground, using my scapula really to do most of this motion, then turning my thumb upwards and lifting upwards. Everything trying to do through here. What's good? You should be able to do 10 to 12 reps with 2 to 3 rounds. If that's not tolerable, let me know. Then working from there, a couple more things you could do with weights. With a kettlebell, something I call a Spartan lift. This is specifically for a bicep shoulder girdle injury. You want to start with really low weight, so I suggest maybe start with like a 5 or 10 pound kettlebell if you guys have them. Bringing it into a half curl position. From this position, you want to pack the shoulder first, and then you want to try to bring your shoulder into flexion while you're still holding that weight in that 90-degree half bicep flex position. Sometimes it's easier to get into fencer's pose as you perform it. And then stepping out, and each one stepping back into that farmer's pose. Feeling all that resistance mostly through, once again, the posterior shoulder girdle. Scap, lat, and posterior shoulder. If you're feeling it in the front, you want to downgrade the weight. You might even start with some light bands, or even just simply doing it with body weight and lifting upwards. Once again, you want to do something you can tolerate for 10 to 12 reps and a couple sets with. After that, farmer's carries, another great option. If you're already gassed from a workout and you really can't get a lot of swings in, simply just holding the weight on this one side, and you could do both hands if you want, or just do the one hand. A 35 or a 53 pounder to start with a kettlebell, and then just simply walking 10 meters, turning around, walking another 10 meters. Then lastly, what I call a Sphinx position. So you're going to get down on the floor. As you're doing this one, you really want to try not to utilize any of the lower back. So try to get that lower posterior chain out of the picture as you perform this. You're going to get into a belly stance, elbows in line with the shoulders. You want to come up into a Sphinx position. So as I'm doing this, I'm using my shoulder, my lower thoracic muscles to really engage my body upwards, and then using my cervical muscles to lift my head up. Holding in this position, you want to provide a challenge. If this is already straining you or painful, don't perform it, and we'll try to troubleshoot something else. But I think you'd be able to provide a little bit of challenge with this right shoulder. So once again, activating through to get that lift upwards. I'm not using my lower back, not using my glutes. And what I'm going to do from here is provide challenge to the right shoulder by trying to stabilize on it as I'm moving the left. So I'm reaching out, and wherever I reach out, I'm going to be looking with my head. So if I want to reach outwards, I'm looking in that direction. If I want to reach a straight lateral, I'm reaching out in that direction. Now, as you perform this, what you're trying to do from an anterior view, I'm going to just cheat it because I don't have room right here, but if you can imagine, my legs are all the way down. So what you want to do is, when you're in this position, is you want to be able to provide these challenges without any change in the direction, in what my shoulder's doing on this side. So everything's very controlled through that shoulder as I'm performing these on the left side, providing a lot of stability in that right shoulder. So ground challenges are great. The further back you go, the more challenging it's going to get. And then if you're ready for it, you can go airborne. So reaching out. Once again, trying to keep this from leaning or going forward. So a lot of the times what we'll see is even just like a slight little lean as people go outwards. You want to make sure everything's nice and tight as you perform these. And they look easy, but they can really start to exhaust you quick. So there's some strategies. I'll just post some numbers on the email for you, and I hope this helps a lot. Take care.